Oh, hello. I'm glad you're back. This is a tough part of the story today, but it's an important part. So I want you to hang with me. There are going to be some sad parts, just like there are some sad times in life. Life doesn't always go the way we think it should. But our faith tells us that in time things can work out, things can be made new, and that's the story that we're going to enter into today, even though today we won't get all the way to the new part. So the last time we talked, Jesus had been arrested, so to speak, in the garden by a Jewish mob and taken into town in the middle of the night to be put on trial. Judas had come out and kissed Jesus as a mark of betrayal so that the others would know who to capture. Judas had shared their secret and sacred place. The first place that Jesus was brought in town was to the temple, to the high priest, to one of the Jewish leaders, or the religious leaders of the Jerusalem community. See, they were the ones who really had the problem with Jesus, because Jesus disturbed their understanding of God. Jesus claimed to be the Son of God, and they couldn't comprehend that. So Jesus was brought before the high priest, and the high priest asked him, "Are you the Messiah, the chosen one? Are you the one sent by God to deliver us from the Romans?" That's what he is truly asking. And Jesus says, "I am." Those were strong words for a Jew, because to say "I am" is to call back to memory Moses and the burning bush, and the voice from the bush that told Moses that "I am" was sending him. To say "I am," Jesus is claiming to be divine. He's claiming to be God, and the people are quite upset. Jesus is condemned by the Sanhedrin. The leaders of the mob blindfold Jesus, and they slap Jesus, and they spit on Jesus, and they ask him to prophesy who it is that is hitting you. If you're a prophet, surely you will know who it is. The Jews wanted Jesus dead. The leaders in the synagogue, the leaders of the temple, they believed Jesus should die. However, it was beyond their authority to do that. So they sent Jesus to the Roman authority in town. Now, the Roman authority in Jerusalem was a man named Pilate. Pilate was a puppet, really. He was sort of like a governor sent by Caesar to rule over a small area. And Pilate was struggling in this in Jerusalem. Jerusalem turns out to be a pretty tough place to keep the peace. So as I take apart here our temple, we move to the palace where Pilate ruled and where Pilate's word was law. Pilate asked Jesus a different question. Pilate wanted to know, "Are you the king of the Jews?" You see, it offended Caesar for anyone else to claim to be a king. But Jesus said, yes, it is as you say. By this time, a large crowd has gathered to witness what is going on. And they're shouting against Jesus. Now Pilate, he realizes there's something going on here that's not quite right, and he really doesn't think Jesus has done anything worthy of death. So he asks the crowd, hey, it's the Passover, and my custom is to release a prisoner to you on the Passover. Would you rather me release Jesus or this horrible criminal who had caused much trouble named Barabbas? Now, Pilate thought that for sure Jesus was the lesser criminal and that the people would excuse him. But they said no. Release Barabbas. And he says, what will I do with Jesus? And the crowd shout, crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him! Pilate gives in to the crowd. He does wash his hands and say, this man's blood is not on me. This man's blood is on you. And the people say, that's fine. But you have to crucify this man. And so the guards take Jesus. At first, they beat him. They dress him in purple. They bow down to him. And they mock him and treat him as if he's a king. But then they strip off the purple robe. They give him a cross to carry. And Jesus is led out of the town. There are people watching along the way as Jesus is carrying his cross out of the city. And Jesus is walking shamefully in front of the crowd, but he's been beaten. He has been abused, and finally he falls down, and he can't carry his cross anymore. A man named Simon the Cyrene picks up Jesus' cross and helps him carry it to the top of the hill. Here, at the top of the hill, Jesus is hung on the cross. Two other prisoners, two criminals, are hung on the cross beside Jesus. And there, in the middle of the day, a crowd gathers. You can imagine the children with their father. And we read of the women who supported and followed Jesus being nearby. We also read that from a distance, some of his close friends watched as well. And there, on that cross, Jesus suffered and struggled. And at high noon, a strange thing happened. The entire city of Jerusalem went dark. And from noon until 3 p.m. in the afternoon, it was pitch black in Jerusalem. Then around 3 p.m., the sun shined again and shone down on Jesus on the cross. And he was struggling there. And finally he let out a groan and he breathed his last breath. And on that afternoon, before the sun set, Jesus died. Typically, we think of death as the end of the story. When we're young, every time we lose a game, every time we fail, every time we mess up, we feel like it's over. I want you to know that our story is over for today, but I want you to come back next time, because this story about Jesus is far from over.